Hi, I'm Nikki Haskell, and I'm here today with Ivana Trump, and we're so excited about being here because we have Ivana's new book called Raising Trump, and we're going to have her today. She's going to be signing for all you people. Call in, and we'll tell you lots of fun stories, and now's a chance to get an autographed copy of Ivana's book. Go to raisingtrumpbook.com if you're online there and just you want to buy a book, an autographed book from Ivana Trump. So tell me about Ivana. Why did you write this book now?
Well, I was asked many years to go and write my bio.
Right.
And I saw I was too young to do one. And then during the campaign, my ex-husband campaign, the kids became very known all around America because they were following the debates and they were following his speaking engagements and whatever it is. And people would stop me on the airports, in the street, and in the restaurants, and say, "Ivana, you have raised 3 fabulous kids." And I said, "Yes, I did." And so I did my bio from my early age, of my life, and then I put in how did I raise my 3 fabulous kids.
So you were born in Czechoslovakia, which is a communist country. What was it like growing up there? You were an only child, and it must have been scary during those times. Was it difficult? Tell me about it.
Well, it was very difficult because my father did not join the Communistic Party, and so I was sort of disadvantaged. And anything I did in the sports or in the academics, I was always put, if I was number 1, I was always number 3. And you could not really speak about anything, And frankly, I did not know any better.
So when was the first time you left Czechoslovakia? How old were you?
I was 12.
Right.
And
Wow.
I went to Vienna, and first time in my life, I saw the strawberries, raspberries,
Wow.
middle of the winter. And I said, "Oh, my dead body, I'm going to stay behind the Iron Curtain. I have to get out." And that was the first time when I knew that my life was, in country with the opportunity and freedom rather than under a communistic regime. So.
And when did you first start skiing, and when was the first time that you got out of the country to compete?
Well, my father was a swimmer, and I was born premature. I was born in 7 months, and I was in the incubator for about 3 months, and my father was in the army, because it was mandatory at that time. And he came back when I was about 2 years old, and he said, "I'm going to go and make my daughter strong." And only the way how he knew how to do it was via sport. And my
That was
father,
smart. That was great.
It was very good way. And he was a swimmer, so he put me in the swimming pool when I was age 2. I said, "Ivana, swim or drown." Okay,
Good concept.
I really didn't have much of the choice. So then he introduced me to the skiing. He took me for the friends of us, took us to the chalet when I was about age 4, and I spent the weekend, and I started to ski, and I loved it. And only the thing which was the problem is that I was swimming and I was skiing, and both of them I excel in. And by age of the 12, my 2 coaches, swimming and the skiing coach, got together, and they say, "Ivana, you can do only one sport at a time. Swimming is totally upper body sport, and the legs are secondary function. Skiing, it's totally legs and butt, and the arms are for the balance." So my parents, they say, "Ivana, you have to decide to do, if you want to do one sport, you cannot do both of them. You have
Right.
to do only one to excel." So my parents left me in the town with my grandparents, and they say, "Ivana, if you decided for the swimming, you're going to stay in the town and you're going to swim your championship. And if you decide to ski, you're going to show up on the mountains." And they left me with the grandparents.
And how old were you?
I was 12.
Wow.
And I show up on the mountains, and I think I make a great decision because swimming is a very lonely sport. It's a 4 walls and water. And I would go and I would have my hair up to my waist, blonde hair.
Right.
And I would go and jump in the pool at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I would swim until 8 o'clock afternoon. Then I would jump on the bike or scooter later on when I could. And I would go to the school. At 2 o'clock afternoon, I was back in the swimming pool. And I had to swim again and this and that. So I decided on skiing because it's a very wonderful sport. It's a social
And you're great
sport,
at it.
and I'm very good at it.
I mean,
yes.
you were on the Olympic team. How did that happen?
Well, it's when I was 12, I was asked to be on the Czech national ski team, which I went, and then by the 16, they put me on the for Olympic team, and this is my story.
And here we are today telling the story. So we have a question for you from Lenore from Tennessee. Okay. She wants to know, what's your funniest memory of Donald?
I think is when the first time when I met him, I was in the Maxwell's prom in the restaurant. I came to New York with my 8 friends, models, and we did a fashion show. And the girls, they say, Ivana, we have to go for the dinner. And I said, I really don't want to go. I'm tired. And it was middle of the Olympics, and I was a hostess for the Olympic Games. And I didn't want to go, but I had to go because my fashion show, was on choreography. So it was done on music.
Right.
And if I would not go, I would mess it up for the rest of the girls. So I'd say, okay.
Was that the first time you were in New York?
This is the first time when I was
What?
in New York.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought you'd been there before.
No, I was not. And so I went to the Maxwell's prom, and we were, it was packed. It was like a Cipriani uptown today. It was packed. And we didn't have a reservation. So the manager said, oh, girls, why you don't stand by the bar? And I'm going to give you the table as soon as you can have. And I know, girls, we are going to be sitting in here all night long because how many managers of the restaurants would not to have 8 fabulous girls standing by the bar because
right,
it brings
yeah.
attention to the man. And suddenly there is a hand on my shoulder. And I turn around and there is this, very good-looking guy, tall, blonde, all-American. And he said, hello, my name is Donald Trump. And, at that time, nobody knew him. And he was working for $75,000 a year for his father. And so he said, girls, I can see that you need a table. I will help you with that. So I look at my girlfriends and I said, girls, I have a good news and I have a bad news. Good news is we're going to get a table very soon. Bad news is this guy is going to go and sit with us. Sure enough, Donald sat with us, and then on the end of the dinner, he disappeared. So I asked for the check, to share with the girls and all that. I said, no, it was taken care of. And I said, I don't believe this, And he said, no, it was taken care of by the gentleman. I said, girls, I have never met a man which pay for something and he didn't want anything in return.
Little did you know.
Little did I know. So we walk outside, and there is a Donald. He went during our coffee time. He went to his building, which was like 1 block away.
Right.
He took his limousine, and it was over the weekend, so driver was not working. He brought it in front of Maxwell Plum. He picked us up driving in the stretch limo. And brought us to the hotel.
Did he have a cap on? Did he have a cap on?
No, he did not. But that's a very funny story.
Well, I think that another funny story is when, after you and Donald started going together, that particular year, we went to Aspen together.
Yes.
And Donald didn't know that you were an Olympic skier. I think you should tell everybody how that happened.
Well, Donald, we were dating, and it was before the holidays, and Donald called me and he said, Ivana, I would like to take you for Christmas holidays. And where you would like to go? Sun on the mountain. And I said, well, I always had a white Christmas. Let's go to the mountain. And so Donald, he never asked me, said, do you, actually, eventually he asked me, said, Ivana, do you ski? And I said, yes, I do. And he said, are you good? I said, I'm good. That was the end of it. So we go to Aspen, and I call ski school when the Carl, which was my friend from the Austrian ski team,
Right.
he was running the ski school in Aspen. And I said, look, Carl, I have a guy which I need him to learn how to ski real
Right.
fast. Don't say anything. Get him instructor tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Then I called Stefan Kelling, which has a shop, and he was on the Swiss national ski team.
Right, very
And
famous.
very famous. And I said, Stefan, I'm sending you the guy which I really care about, outfit him. Give him the Nordic boots. Give him the atomic skis. Give him the Scott Pauls. Give him the outfit. He has to go and he has to start to ski tomorrow at 10. Don't say anything. So in the morning, Donald goes and he gets dressed, and he has at 10 o'clock, the ski instructor. And he said, oh, Ivana, why you don't come to ski with me and all that? I said, you know what, the trip was too demanding. I'm tired. I need aspirin. The altitude, it's too high. So I talked myself into going with him. Well, he went on the mountain. 2 minutes later, I was behind. And I'm watching him, and he is making triple flips forward, double trip
Like
backwards.
me, that's how it
he
is.
is
My
traversing
favorite.
traversing and things like that. It was too funny. So anyway, I just let him be because he's very athletic and he learns. And so second day, so Ivana, you have to come up. And I said, okay, I'm going to meet you in the sun deck in the restaurant for the lunch. Meanwhile, he was skiing, and he was already making the turns, and he was already getting it. And after the lunch, I told the ski instructor, I said, make me look like fool. Okay, put my ski boots in my ski binding. Put the ski poles over my ski gloves. Making me feel like, I'm full, making me feel like a fool. And so Donald goes and skis like 100 meters, and he stops. And he said, Ivana, come on, darling, you can do it, you can do it. And I just push off, and I ski next to him, flip backwards, flip forwards, and I disappear. Donald was furious.
Well, I was at the bottom. He was so furious. I was at the bottom of the hill, and you were at the top of the hill, and you were going like this. You just sliced up that mountain, and Donald just stood there. He was like shocked. He could not believe it. He thought that he was going to teach you how to ski.
Yeah. No, he just took off his skis and walked up to the restaurant, and he said, I'm not going to do this crap for anybody, including Ivana. He used a different word. Okay? Cannot say it on television. And then the ski instructor said, look, Dora, it was totally Ivana's idea, because if she would tell you how good she is, your ego would never let you.
That's for sure.
To
We know
go
that.
and even try to ski down the mountain. So, so he took it, and by the time he had it in his blast, and he's actually a very good skier. He can go to black runs, and he actually liked to ski.
Well, that was
going for
good.
years and years to Aspen afterwards. And he would be on the telephone until 10 o'clock in the morning. Then he would come, he would ski a couple of the runs, then we would have a lunch. After lunch, we ski a couple of the runs, and then we would head back home and get on the telephone.
So now, everybody, I want to once again remind you, if you'd like to get an autographed copy of Ivana's book, please go to raisingtrumpbook.com. It's raisingtrumpbook.com. So, Ivana, let's talk about your children, okay? Tell us something about each child that no one knows about.
Well, Ivanka, it's always Ivanka. Okay, she was in the press, and she was always photographed. She was trying to model and all that. But one day, she was about 14, she came home, and she came home with the pale blue hair.
Right?
So I look at her once. I went immediately to first Wayne Reed, bought a nice and easy color, okay, and she became blonde like me, and she's blonde since that time. It didn't work with me.
Well, Ivana, you're a woman that's had it all. You have your family, your children, your job. You have the whole thing. Do you think that that's possible for most women? It's a challenging situation at best.
It is very challenging, you know.
And how do you split up your day during all those times?
Okay,
With
well,
working and husband and children. And the kids were young. It wasn't like they were grown.
6, 8, and 12 when I did get divorced, and it was absolutely brutal because O'Donnell took the divorce as a business deal, and he cannot lose. So it took about 2 years, but I never cried. There was no slamming doors, or there was never screaming or anything, because I didn't want to panic the kids. And
But they knew about it.
of course, they knew
Donnie
about it.
Jr. knew about it most.
Because he was oldest, he understood the most. And he didn't speak to his father for a year. And then they mended themselves, because I make sure that they saw their father every day. And, it is what it is.
You know, when you bring up children, it just in a regular way, it's difficult. But here they are, your children have always been in the limelight. How do you keep them grounded? How do you let them know that there are other things in life besides private planes and VIP limousines?
Well, I have a discipline, and I was brought up in a communist country with the discipline of the skiing, and I had to do what I had to do. And it's a schedule. You go and give the kids schedule, and you go get up at 7, you go to the school at 8, you come up from the school, you go I kept them busy, because if you don't keep the kids busy,
They get
the
in
kids
trouble.
get in trouble. okay?
Absolutely.
And if you give them the second thing, you don't give them a lot of money. I have a friends of mine which give the kids unlimited Black
I know,
American
it's a
Express card.
mistake.
And the kids, they have no intentions to getting up from the bed before 2 o'clock afternoon. Then they go shopping with their Black American Express card because they are bored, and they never achieve anything. So, if you don't give them a lot of money, the kids cannot buy alcohol, drugs, or smoke. And this is what my values were. You don't cheat, steal, or lie. You don't take drugs. You don't smoke, and you don't drink. And this is what my kids did. And there was no negotiation about that.
That was it. And I remember distinctly when we were in London and Ivanka wanted to go to a different school. She wanted to go to a school in the city. And she convinced me that I should try to convince you that she should do this. And we came upstairs and I said, Ivana, maybe we should, you should think about letting Ivanka, she's a big girl now, live in the city and go to school in the city. You said, absolutely not. This is not a party time for her. She's going to have to, he was like, okay, sorry I mentioned it. So that the kids knew, they used me as a foil, But
it didn't work.
It didn't work. It never does. I could have told you that to begin with. But I've always found that even though you always have had sort of a strict outline format for your kids, in spite of all that, we had a lot of fun together. It wasn't that, I don't want people to get the wrong impression to think that, Ivana's this sort of strict, boring woman. We had so much fun with the kids. One time we were in Portofino, and the boys were on the boat. Ivana took the children every summer on the boat, and Donnie was catching fish left and right, and poor little Eric, he couldn't catch a fish. So Ivana pulls Donnie aside and tells him to go down, to dive down in the water and pull the line, so that Eric would think that he had a fish on the hook, right? So Ivana and I, of course, knew all this at that time, and it was really hard to keep a straight face. He was like, I got a fish. I'm so excited. I lost the fish. And then kept going back and forth. We did have a lot of really fabulous times together. And I must say that even during your divorce, when things were not what they were, you always kept up your friendships. You always kept up the fun with the children. I never, ever, ever heard you, and I know you well. I never heard you say one bad word about Donald, ever. And you were such a lady during your divorce that's why you're so successful today, because most women don't get the picture that you have to be an adult and you can't use your children as weapons.
No,
And you never
can.
did that.
I never did that, no. The kids, they would see their father every morning before they went to the school, and every afternoon when they came back from the school, and they were playing with the Legos on the floor in front of the office when Donald was on the telephone, but they were listening to him. And they were listening to me when I was running the Plaza Hotel. Ivanka was like the new Eloise of the Plaza. She was running
that's
through
right,
the hallways
absolutely.
of the Plaza Hotel. And I
But you
took
have
her
to tell
for-
everybody, when Ivana's just casually saying that she ran the Plaza Hotel, she did a lot more than run the Plaza Hotel. She actually completely redecorated from top to bottom, from sheets to towels to wallpaper, carpeting, did the whole hotel in 1 week. Now it's 10 years and they still haven't been able to redo it.
It actually took me 1 year to get a hotel
Well, the whole
of
thing,
the year.
yeah.
You know, by my peers in the London. It was in the Dorchester Hotel. And I got to do the hotelier of the year award and the best hotel in North America and seventh most luxurious hotel in the world. And believe me, I had to go and fight against Hong Kong when the labor, it's a $5 per week, and I was under unions. I had to pay $1.25 per employee per hour. And so it was tough to really beat them. But, you know, I was seventh most luxurious hotel and the best hotel in North America. And I had a lot of fun doing it. All the fashion shows were there.
You brought
all the
everybody
meetings
back, all the
were
big
there.
Carolina
All the-
Herrera
all
and
the-
Oscar de la Renta, and brought fashion back to
all the
back to
weddings
New
were
York. You
there.
really did.
Yeah,
Because
thank you.
before that, you know, that when you started that was the first big push for American designers, and you were right at the forefront. You had every one of the major designers there, and they showed in the Plaza Hotel.
Every wedding.
every wedding and every divorce.
Every wedding, every divorce.
You know, but it
every
was,
meet-
and don't forget, Ivana, during that, it was a little bit prior to that, Atlantic City, I mean, you went there, we went down to Atlantic City one day, we got on this helicopter, and it was about 2 below zero, and the plane slid off the
The
tarmac.
helicopter on 64th Street
Yes,
helipad.
The helipad, we almost went into the
river.
Hudson River. And when we got there, Ivana had people lined up like this, and she would be signing papers and looking at press kits and giving people all the time to gamble. I mean, I've never seen anybody so in command, and they loved her. The employees loved you. That doesn't usually happen. They usually can't stand their bosses.
Well, in the Plaza Hotel, the first thing what I did when I took over from Westing, which was a catastrophe. The hotel was dirty, it was unkept, everything. First thing what I did, I restored the employees' cafeteria. Then I gave the employees the new uniforms. Then I gave them the equipment to work with, because maid cannot go and vacuum the room if she doesn't have a working vacuum cleaner. And they just had such a pride working, because they look good.
Yes,
and
they
they
had
were working for a
self-respect.
good self-respect. They would kill for me. And so we're in Atlantic City.
Okay, so we have a question here from Kaylee. What do you feel is your biggest challenge of motherhood?
Motherhood, to combine the work and be with your kids.
It's hard.
And it's very, very hard. But I had no regrets that I was working, because I would get the kids through school at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I would go and fly to Atlantic City. I was back home by 5:30, 6 o'clock. I would have a dinner, I would do the homework with them, and 8 o'clock, Ivanka would help me to zip up my cocktail dress or evening dress. In 80s, we were out every single night in the long gown, you know, matching shoes, matching handbag, the jewelry, and all the things. And Ivanka would help me, she would watch me to put the makeup on and all that. And then they went to sleep because they were exhausted. They were in coma.
You know, Christina wanted to thank you for doing such a great help for America. Then she wanted to tell you how much she appreciated it. And Yvonne, I think you're amazing. Do you think that the Democrats would turn on you like this?
I don't think anybody turned on me.
No?
I don't think so. You know, I have not heard anybody say one bad word about me, because I was not involved in campaign.
Right.
I was on purpose very quiet because there were too many cooks in the kitchen as it was with my kids. And I was writing my book. So I really didn't want to talk to anybody, and I didn't. So I really didn't have any bad word. I think you did.
I did. I had a lot of it, but that's because I
Okay.
did 9 documentaries on Donald, because the first interview I did with you and Donald, which is on Amazon Prime, people were like, I even the other day in the paper it said, they had me in the paper, it said Nikki Haskell, known to be a supporter of Donald.
It's not a good thing to say in LA.
Or New York either.
Or in New York.
Okay, so everybody, I want you to, this is your chance to get raisingtrumpbook.com. Go to them and get a book. We're almost out of them now. You can see we're down to the nubs here. But I think it's been an amazing. I'm so proud of this book. I read this book, and having lived your life, most of it with you, I love the way your children talked about you and about your mother, and the fact that your mother is still so close with your children and sees them how many times a year?
She comes here about 4 times a year.
Ivana's mother still lives in Czechoslovakia, so
lives
she
in
comes
Czech
here,
Republic,
and she comes and she stays with, each child takes her for what, 3 weeks?
Every weekend, my mother goes with either Donald Jr. or Ivanka or Eric. They go to the country, and she goes Thursday to Monday. She sees all the grandkids, and she's 92-year-old.
And she's great.
She travels all on her own. She goes on Austrian Airlines to Vienna. And then she has a driver to pick her up and bring her to Moravia, which is like an hour and a half away from Vienna. And she just do it on her own. And, she's in here, and she has all the support, my assistant and the food and everything. No, she wants to go back to Czech Republic. She has the friends up there.
Right.
She's missing it. So after like a summer, she goes back, and she's going to be back for Thanksgiving.
Well, that's great. I'm so proud of you, proud of your book. It's wonderful. Reading it, I was quite inspired by it, and I find you to be such an inspiration for women. You always have been, and I know that this will really be one of your crowning glories, the book.
Thank you.
So give me a book. I'm going to show it to everybody. So this is the book, Raising Trump, by Ivana Trump. Don't forget to run out now, get it online. What are we going to call it here? It's raisingtrumpbook.com. Thank you.
Thank you.